Imagine this for a moment. Every thought you have is like a seed. Some seeds grow into beautiful flowers, while others grow into thorny weeds. The soil is your mind, and whatever you plant there will shape the entire garden of your life. Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." And when you pause to reflect, you can probably see how true this island. When your mind is full of worry or anger, the whole world feels heavy. But when your mind is calm, grateful, and kind, suddenly even the small things, a smile from a stranger, the warmth of sunlight can feel like a gift. Think of your mind like a mirror. If it's covered with dust, you can't see clearly. But when you take the time to clean it, the reflection becomes bright and sharp. In the same way, if we don't take care of our thoughts, negativity builds up and life feels confusing. But when we nourish the mind with positive, wholesome seeds, we begin to see clearly, and peace naturally follows. This is why Buddhist teachings emphasize training the mind, not in a rigid or complicated way, but in gentle, everyday practices that anyone can apply. The truth is, your mind will always look for more of what you feed it. If you feed it fear, you'll see fear everywhere. But if you feed it compassion, patience, and gratitude, the world begins to show up differently for you. So here's the invitation. What if starting today, you could learn how to guide your mind instead of letting it wander aimlessly? What if, instead of letting weeds grow wild, you began to plant seeds that lead to peace, resilience, and fulfillment? In this talk, we'll explore 7 simple but powerful lessons from Buddhist wisdom that can help you do exactly that. Each lesson is like a tool for your inner garden, something you can carry with you, something you can practice, and something that can transform the way you see the world. Stay with me until the end, and you'll not only understand how to train your mind, you'll also discover how to see the good in life, no matter where you are or what challenges you face. Lesson 1. Choose your inputs carefully. Have you ever noticed how your mood changes depending on the people you spend time with, the news you watch, or even the music you listen to? The mind is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever it is surrounded by. If you place a sponge in clean water, it soaks up purity. But if you drop it into muddy water, it becomes heavy and dirty. In the same way, your mind takes in everything that you allow through your senses, what you see, what you hear, and even the conversations you join. Buddhist teachings call this practice guarding the sense doors. It's a reminder that not every thought, every piece of media, or every voice around you deserves a place in your inner world. If you constantly surround yourself with gossip, conflict, or negative news, your mind will feel cluttered and restless. It's like living in a house where the windows are always open and dust keeps blowing in. Sooner or later, you can't breathe freely. But the opposite is also true. When you choose carefully, when you fill your environment with positive influences, wise teachings, and people who lift you up, your inner landscape changes. It becomes lighter, calmer, more open. Suddenly, peace doesn't feel like something far away. Here's a simple example. Imagine starting your morning not by scrolling through social media, but by stepping outside and feeling the morning air. Or by listening to a short Dharma talk, or reading a single inspiring line from a book. That small shift is like planting a seed of clarity in your mind. Throughout the day, that seed grows into patience, understanding, or even just a quiet moment of gratitude. This doesn't mean you need to shut the world out. It means becoming mindful of your diet, not just what you eat, but what you feed your mind. Just like your body feels different when you live on junk food compared to nourishing meals, your mind also reflects the quality of what it consumes. Think of it this way. Your mind is the most important space you'll ever live in. Why fill it with clutter? Why decorate it with noise? Instead, choose inputs that inspire you to be the person you truly want to become. So here's the practice. At least once today, pause and ask yourself, what am I letting into my mind right now? Is this nourishing me or draining me? If it's nourishing, welcome it fully. If it's draining, let it go gently, like closing a door to keep the wind out. When you learn to choose your inputs carefully, your mind slowly transforms. You begin to notice more peace, more clarity, and more joy, not because the world outside has changed, but because you've changed what you invite inside. And that shift makes all the difference. Lesson 2. Turn off autopilot. Have you ever caught yourself reacting before you even realize what you're doing? Maybe someone cuts you off in traffic and almost instantly anger flares up. Or a small comment from a coworker stings, and without thinking, you snap back. That's what living on autopilot looks like. It's as if our mind is running a program written years ago. Old habits, old patterns, playing out again and again without our awareness. Buddhism reminds us of something powerful. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to be a passenger in your own life. Every moment is a chance to wake up, to take your hands back on the steering wheel of your mind. Think of it like driving a car. When you're on autopilot, it's like setting cruise control. You're moving, but you're not really paying attention. You miss the scenery. You miss the subtle turns. You might even end up somewhere you never intended to go. But when you turn off autopilot, when you drive consciously, suddenly you see the road again. You can notice the sun on the horizon, the trees passing by, and you can choose exactly where you want to go. The same is true with our reactions. Someone criticizes you. Normally, the program kicks in: defensiveness, irritation, maybe even hurt pride. But if you pause even for a single breath, you create space. In that space, you can choose, do I want to let anger run the show, or do I want to respond from peace? That pause is where your freedom lies. One of my teachers once said, between the stimulus and the response, there is a gap, and in that gap lives your entire freedom. That's the heart of Buddhist practice, training ourselves to notice that gap, to stay awake, and to choose wisely. It doesn't mean you'll suddenly stop feeling anger or frustration. Those emotions are human, but you no longer have to be ruled by them. Instead of being swept away by every wave, you learn how to surf. The wave is still there, but now you're riding it with balance and awareness. So, how can you practice turning off autopilot in daily life? Start small. The next time you feel irritation rising, pause. Take one mindful breath. Remind yourself, I have a choice. You'll be surprised how even that tiny pause shifts everything. Over time, it's like retraining the mind, teaching it that it doesn't have to run on old software anymore. Each time you do this, each time you pause, observe, and choose, you reclaim a piece of your freedom. You're no longer living as a prisoner of habit. You're living as a conscious being, fully awake, fully alive. So today, ask yourself, am I living on autopilot, or am I choosing my life moment by moment? Because the moment you wake up to that question, you've already begun to take back control. Lesson 3. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Let's talk about challenges, the very things most of us spend our lives trying to avoid. We resist them, complain about them, sometimes even feel crushed by them. But here's the truth Buddhism gently teaches us. Challenges are not punishments. They are teachers in disguise. Imagine life as a classroom. Every difficulty that comes your way is like a lesson plan written just for you. Some lessons are easy. Others feel almost unbearable. But if you look closely, each one carries wisdom that you could not have gained any other way. Think about it like lifting weights. The first time you pick up something heavy, your muscles ache. It feels uncomfortable, maybe even painful. But that resistance is exactly what makes you stronger. Without the weight, there's no growth. In the same way, without life's struggles, there is no deep resilience, no compassion, no wisdom. Now, here's where the shift happens. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" a question that only breeds frustration, try asking, "What is this teaching me?" That small change in perspective turns suffering into fuel for growth. Suddenly, the problem is no longer just an obstacle, it's an invitation. For example, a difficult coworker might be teaching you patience. A financial setback might be teaching you simplicity, reminding you that peace doesn't come from possessions. A heartbreak might be teaching you the art of letting go and loving without clinging. Each challenge, no matter how painful, contains a seed of transformation. The Buddha often compared suffering to a fire. If we fight it, we only burn ourselves more. But if we understand it, if we sit with it, that same fire can become a source of light and warmth. The flame doesn't change. It's our relationship to it that transforms. So, the next time life feels heavy, pause and ask, "What is life trying to teach me here?" This question softens resistance. It turns bitterness into curiosity. It allows you to meet challenges, not as enemies, but as guides. And here's the beautiful part. Every time you face a challenge with this mindset, you grow a little more unshakable. You start to carry a quiet strength inside you, a strength that doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from walking through it with awareness. So yes, challenges hurt. They stretch us, but they also sculpt us into wiser, more compassionate beings. And when you see them in this way, you'll realize life has been giving you teachers all along. 4. Practice gratitude daily. Gratitude. It's such a simple word, yet it has the power to completely transform how we experience life. Most of us live in a cycle of wanting a better job, a bigger house, more recognition, more comfort. And there's nothing wrong with ambition. But the danger is this. When our focus is always on what's missing, we can't see what's already here. We end up living in a state of lack, even when we are surrounded by abundance. The Buddha often pointed out that craving is the root of suffering. Gratitude is the antidote. Gratitude is like a lamp that immediately lights up a dark room. It doesn't add new furniture. It doesn't change the walls. It simply reveals what was already there, waiting to be seen. Think of it like this. Imagine you wake up in the morning, and before you even reach for your phone, you pause and notice something simple. Maybe it's the warmth of your blanket, the sound of birds outside, or the fact that you have clean water to drink. These things may seem small, but when you pause to appreciate them, your mind shifts from scarcity to sufficiency. You realize life is already giving you so much. Science today confirms what Buddhism has taught for centuries. Practicing gratitude daily rewires the brain. It lowers anxiety, increases resilience, and even improves relationships. Why? Because when you are grateful, you stop grasping. You stop living in the not enough. Instead, you dwell in "this is enough," right here, right now. And from that space, joy naturally arises. Let's use an image. Picture your heart as a cup. If you never notice what fills it, you'll always believe it's empty. But gratitude teaches you to see the drops already inside the smile of a stranger, a shared meal, the comfort of breath moving in and out. Suddenly, you realize your cup isn't empty at all, it's overflowing. One way to practice is to keep a gratitude pause in your day. It doesn't have to be fancy. Maybe each evening you take a slow breath and name 3 things you're thankful for. Or, during your commute, instead of replaying worries, you silently give thanks for the body that carries you, for the road that takes you home, for the chance to begin again tomorrow. These small pauses reorient your mind toward joy. And gratitude is contagious. When you express it to others, when you say, "I appreciate you," or "Thank you for being here," you not only uplift yourself, but you also plant seeds of joy in them. Gratitude is one of the few gifts that multiplies when given away. So ask yourself, what if you stopped chasing happiness and started noticing it? What if, instead of waiting for the perfect life, you recognized the beauty in the life you already have? Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it does soften them. It doesn't remove pain, but it reminds you that even in pain, there is still something to hold on to: love, breath, hope. And here's the miracle. When you practice gratitude daily, your world doesn't just look brighter, it truly becomes brighter. Because your mind is no longer trapped in lack, it rests in fullness. So tomorrow morning, before your feet even touch the ground, pause and whisper to yourself, "Thank you." Let that be your first thought of the day. It may seem simple, but it's one of the most profound spiritual practices you can embrace. Lesson 5. Visualization of your goals. Have you ever noticed how often your mind drifts into imagining? We imagine what could go wrong. We replay old mistakes, or we worry about the future. The Buddha taught us that the mind is like an artist, it's constantly painting. The question is, what kind of picture are you letting it paint? Visualization is not daydreaming, it's conscious training. It's about intentionally planting seeds in the soil of your mind so they have a chance to grow in your life. Think of it this way. Before a builder constructs a house, they always start with a blueprint. Without that vision on paper, there's no foundation, no structure, no roof. In the same way, if you want qualities like compassion, patience, or peace to show up in your daily life, you first need to see them clearly in your mind. Let's try an example. Imagine yourself in a difficult situation. Maybe someone criticizes you unfairly. Now, instead of reacting with anger, picture yourself breathing calmly, responding with kindness, or simply walking away without carrying resentment. The more vividly you imagine it, the more familiar that state becomes. And when real life presents the test, your mind already knows the path. Neuroscience today confirms this ancient wisdom. When you visualize, your brain fires as if you were actually living the experience. Athletes use this all the time. They rehearse victory in their minds so that when the moment comes, their bodies already know how to move. In the same way, you can rehearse being the most compassionate, patient, or peaceful version of yourself. Here's an image. Think of your mind as a garden. Every visualization is like planting a seed. If you constantly picture failure or fear, those seeds will sprout. But if you consciously plant images of resilience, of peace, of love, then over time, those qualities become the natural flowers of your character. This isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about strengthening your inner muscles so that when life inevitably challenges you, you already have the tools. Imagine yourself waking up each morning grounded, steady, grateful. See yourself treating others with gentleness. Picture yourself at peace, even when things don't go your way. These repeated images slowly shape your reality. And here's the beautiful part. Visualization doesn't just change how you act, it changes how you feel. When you see yourself as more compassionate, you begin to feel compassion rise. When you imagine patience, you feel the space inside you expand. Your outer world begins to mirror your inner picture. So here's a practice. Each day, take just a few minutes to close your eyes and visualize yourself living from your highest qualities. Don't just think it, feel it. Imagine your breath calm, your heart soft, your words gentle. Let the picture be so real that your body recognizes it. That's how you train the mind toward awakening. Remember, the life you live always begins in the mind, so why not guide it with care? Don't let your imagination be hijacked by fear or old habits. Use it as a sacred tool to shape the person you want to become. Because when you can clearly see yourself embodying compassion, patience, and peace, you're not just dreaming, you're rehearsing enlightenment. Lesson 6. Grow self-compassion. Have you ever noticed how easily we offer kindness to others, but when it comes to ourselves, we're often our harshest critic? It's like we carry an inner judge who's always ready to remind us of every mistake, every shortcoming. But here's the truth. Self-compassion isn't weakness. It's the soil where peace and growth truly take root. Think of a plant. If you want it to grow, you don't keep scolding it for being small. You water it. You give it sunlight. You nurture it with patience. In the same way, your own heart needs gentle care, not constant punishment. When you replace self-blame with understanding, you create the conditions for healing. Buddhism teaches that self-compassion is not selfishness, it is the foundation of wisdom. Because when you can sit with your own suffering without judgment, you naturally learn how to sit with the suffering of others. The way we treat ourselves sets the tone for the way we treat the whole world. Here's the simple practice. The next time you make a mistake, pause. Instead of saying, "I'm such a failure," try saying, "I'm human, and this is part of my path." Notice the shift in energy. One phrase closes the heart, the other keeps it open. That little opening is where transformation begins. Think about this. Would you ever speak to a close friend the way you speak to yourself in your most critical moments? Most of us would never do that. Yet, for some reason, we allow that cruelty inward. But what if, from this moment on, you treated yourself like your own best friend? With forgiveness, with patience, with encouragement. Imagine how much lighter your days would feel. This is the paradox. The softer you become with yourself, the stronger you actually grow, because you're no longer wasting energy fighting an inner war. That freed energy can now be directed toward growth, creativity, and compassion for others. When you practice self-compassion, you're not only healing yourself, you're becoming a source of healing for the people around you. Your kindness spills over. Your patience becomes contagious. People feel safer in your presence because they sense you're not living in a battlefield inside your own mind. So let me offer you this reflection. Your worth does not depend on perfection. It depends on your willingness to meet yourself with an open heart. Every scar, every failure, every moment of regret, it can all become part of your teaching if you meet it with compassion. In Buddhism, this is called turning poison into medicine. The very things you once judged yourself for can become the soil of your awakening. Let's bring it down to daily life. Maybe today you forget something important. Maybe you snap at someone you love. In the past, that inner critic would have kept punishing you. But now, with practice, you can pause, breathe, and say, "I forgive myself. I choose to begin again." That small shift doesn't just change your mood, it changes the entire direction of your life. Because every time you choose compassion over judgment, you're choosing freedom. Freedom from shame. Freedom from old patterns of self-punishment. Freedom to live as your fullest self. So, take a moment right now. Place a hand gently on your heart. Whisper to yourself, "May I be kind to me." Feel how simple, yet how powerful that island. This is where peace begins. This is the doorway to awakening. Lesson 7. Thoughts are seeds of reality. Have you ever stopped to notice how a single thought can change the way you feel in an instant? One memory of kindness can make your heart warm. One judgmental thought can make your chest tighten. Our minds are like gardens, and every thought is a seed. What we water grows, and what we neglect eventually fades away. Buddhism teaches that our reality is shaped by the seeds we plant in our consciousness. If we constantly sow seeds of anger, jealousy, or fear, our inner garden becomes tangled with weeds. But if we nurture seeds of patience, compassion, and gratitude, then peace and joy naturally blossom. It's really that simple and that profound. Think of it like this. Imagine you're walking through two gardens. One is full of thorn bushes, overgrown and wild. The other is filled with flowers, trees, and soft green paths. Which one feels more inviting? Which one allows you to breathe deeply? That's the difference between a mind overrun by negative thoughts and a mind carefully tended with positive intentions. Meditation and mindfulness are like the gardener's tools. They help us notice what seeds we're planting each day. Without awareness, we might not even realize we've been watering the weeds, feeding resentment, replaying old wounds, or letting fear take over. But when we pause, breathe, and pay attention, we get to choose. Do I want to water this thought, or do I let it go and choose another? Here's a practical way to apply this. When a negative thought arises, don't fight it. Just acknowledge it, as if saying, I see you. Then gently shift your focus to something you want to grow. For example, if jealousy comes up, you can replace it with gratitude. I'm thankful for what I already have. If impatience arises, you can practice compassion. Everyone, including me, is doing their best. Each time you do this, you're planting and watering seeds that will make your life more peaceful. The beauty is, this doesn't just transform your inner world, it changes how you experience the outer world too. If your heart is full of gratitude, even simple things like sunlight through a window or a kind smile from a stranger become extraordinary. The world hasn't changed, but your garden has, and that changes everything. I'll share a personal perspective. Many times in life, I caught myself replaying mistakes, almost as if I wanted to punish myself. The more I repeated those thoughts, the heavier I felt. But when I began treating thoughts like seeds, I asked myself, do I really want this to grow? That question alone shifted my perspective. Slowly, I started watering the seeds of patience, compassion, and hope. Over time, my inner garden became lighter, more spacious. This is the gentle power of mindfulness. You don't have to fight your mind. You simply learn to choose. And every small choice, every seed you plant, becomes your future reality. So today, I invite you to pause and reflect. What kind of seeds are you planting right now? Are they seeds of fear or seeds of trust? Seeds of anger or seeds of love? Whatever you nurture will shape not only your inner world, but also how you show up for others. Remember, you don't need to change everything at once. A single seed of kindness, a single breath of gratitude is enough to begin. Over time, those seeds grow into a forest of peace that shelters not only you, but everyone who walks through your life. So, take this with you. Your thoughts are not just passing clouds. They are seeds. Plant wisely, water carefully, and watch how your reality transforms into a garden of meaning, beauty, and joy. Summary of key points and reflections. As we come to the end of this journey together, let's pause and gather the threads. If there's one truth that shines through all these lessons, it's this: the mind is the root of our experience. What we nourish within will eventually blossom in our lives. So let's be mindful of what we feed our hearts and minds. The people we surround ourselves with, the words we choose to speak, and the thoughts we repeat, these are the ingredients shaping our reality. If we simply run on autopilot, we may find ourselves reacting out of habit, often in ways that don't serve us. But when we pause, breathe, and choose with awareness, even the smallest response becomes an act of freedom. Life will always bring challenges, that is certain. But each difficulty carries the seed of growth. If we see it as a chance to practice patience, wisdom, and resilience, gratitude then becomes the compass that guides us, reminding us that even in moments of lack, there is still so much to appreciate. the warmth of sunlight, a breath of fresh air, the kindness of a friend. Visualization allows us to awaken the qualities already within compassion, peace, and patience, like polishing a mirror until it reflects our truest self. And self-compassion, perhaps the most vital of all, reminds us to treat ourselves with the same kindness we wish to offer others. Without it, our journey feels heavy. With it, healing and growth become natural. In the end, every thought, every breath is a seed. Each moment is a chance to plant something new in the garden of your mind. And when you water that garden with mindfulness, gratitude, and compassion, what blooms is not just peace for yourself, but also shade and beauty for everyone around you. So as you step back into the flow of your day, carry this with you. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to start. Every moment is the perfect moment. Begin now with a single breath, a single thought, a single act of kindness. That's how a life of peace, wisdom, and lasting happiness is grown one mindful seed at a time.